Hello, my name's Ed Frawley. Got a good training question here about the retrieve. Now this question deals with someone that's having a problem. They're in competitive dog sports. They want to be involved in the AKC obedience ring, and they're having some issues. They've bought a DVD from us, or an online course from us, I'm sorry, and they got a little bit ahead of themselves, and well, I'll read it and then we'll talk about it. I've been working on forced retrieve with we don't sell a video on forced retrieve. And later in this, you're gonna see what she calls forced retrieve. It's probably not what we would call forced retrieve and what a lot of people think forced retrieve is. So she says, I've been working on the forced retrieve with my Terrier for the past 2 months. I started from the very basics, from take it to hold it and now bring it. I also used a starter kit sold at Leerburg, which includes PVC section as well as a dowel. He'll pick up and bring the PVC and the dowel. He just will not pick up the dumbbell. What did I do wrong? Also, what can I do to resolve this issue? Thank you in advance for your reply. Cindy, my wife, who is a much better dog trainer than I am, wrote her back. When you say you're working on a forced retrieve, and I knew that was going to pique her interest right off the bat, can you describe what that means? Are you following the Michael Ellis retrieve video? It seems you've purchased it. Did you go through all the exact same steps with the dumbbell as you did with the PVC and the dowel? It's like starting all over again when you introduce a new item for the dog to retrieve. So go back to the very basics with the dumbbell as you did when you used the dowel and as you did when you used the PVC. And the person's, yes, I did purchase the Michael Ellis course. That makes sense to me. I'll backtrack all the steps, but with the dumbbell. The odd thing is he'll take and hold it as well as bring the dumbbell. He just won't pick it up off the ground. Thanks again. Cindy says, this is really a common issue. You may need to keep your hand on the dumbbell as you lower it to the ground and do it in incremental little baby steps. Break it down into these tiny steps for him, and he'll probably get it pretty quick. And the person said, I missed your first question on the forced retrieve, bringing the dumbbell to me on command, with the release on command, as required by AKC utility dog competitions. Cindy's answer was, I only asked about the forced retrieve. Usually, this means you use a lot of pressure on a dog to force them to go out and take the dumbbell. That's not shaping the behavior the way we show in our training videos and the ones that we've done with Michael Ellis. We don't use forced retrieve the way it used to be forced retrieve 30, 40 years ago. Many trainers back in the day before marker training started and reward-based training was used, would use pretty harsh methods to force a dog to retrieve an item. And that's the truth. I lived through those years. I'm sorry to say that, 40 years ago, I did force retrieve dogs. Before we knew how to do it, it was all we could do. And you can force a dog to do damn near anything if you want to put enough force on it and you're clear enough in your training. This woman talks about how it was the old William Kohler method of dog training, which was pressure, pressure, pressure. And quite frankly, when I was a little kid, 16 years old, and I found the William Kohler books, that's how I learned. I'm 75, so soon to be 76, so 60 years ago. That's all we had back then. It wasn't very pretty sometimes either. The lady comes back and says, your ideas are working. I'll continue to work the dumbbell closer and closer to the ground in incremental little steps while he's holding on to it. Thanks again. So that's the point, and that's the solution to it. It's very, very common in teaching the retrieve, especially when you're trying to shape that behavior. Dogs don't think like people do. They see your hand on that dumbbell, and they think, okay, you hand it to me, I'll take it, I'll hold it, I'll come when you call me to it. But That's with your hand on it. Take that hand away and put that dumbbell down. That's a whole different picture and a different thing for the dog to do. It's a whole new exercise. So you have to break it down, and you might have to take it and put it right on the ground and hold your hand on it. And then maybe hold your hand a little bit away, and then a little bit away. And if the dog doesn't do it, and it's trying, but it's not blowing you off, it's trying, you might have to help it. But use marker training and high-value food rewards, and it shouldn't take very long to solve a problem like this. On the front of Leerburg.com, if you're new to this channel, you do not need to be a customer of Leerburg to ask a question on training or medical or behavioral problems or breeding. If we can answer it, we will.